I saw a light anomaly, writes Francisco Escamilla after uploading this bizarre ring cam footage to his YouTube channel. He has no idea what this was and is looking for answers, so let's try and help. I think this could actually be paranormal because their dog just so happens to go crazy at the same time. The block is quiet and the dog doesn't really have much to bark at other than this strange moving object. Some dogs will bark at nothing, so that's not necessarily proof. The way this alleged ghost orb slowly moves makes me wonder if this is actually just a bug that was attracted to the porch light, walking across the lens up close to give this strange and spooky effect. This farmhouse has a paranormal feeling. Published by Ouija brothers. The brothers are filming when one feels the hanging wallpaper move a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of moved a little bit.
Did you touch it?
I didn't touch it, I didn't move, I was this close away.
I did feel some cold come in there.
Not long after, a strange noise is heard. A second clip taken by the cameraman captures the sound again from a different angle. It clearly wasn't him making the sound.
Okay. That? Is that you?
I think it's the floor.
I was like someone got a marble and rolled it. Hey? Is that you?
I think it's the floor.
Later they hear a knock and then a creepy voice. They find a cat in the house, and then again outside. While the cat is cute and all, the house holds other creatures as well. These ones, not so cute. The enormous spider starts moving, and the brothers quickly wrap things up. While spirits are one thing, spiders are just a bit too much. A YouTuber named Yara records herself singing in her room when a visitor approaches, or maybe it's just the sound of her tablet getting put down.
You wanna say?
She looks down the hallway.
You wanna say?
It looks like a lock gets popped, but no doors open. There are no footsteps, no one says hello, and then... Yara claims she saw a demon, but that's a lot for me to believe without the physical proof. I will say that those two noises were awfully odd, and it didn't sound like anyone else was with her before they occurred. Do you choreograph TikTok dances? If so, you'd better skip this one. Published to YouTube by Unknown Barbados in April of 2020. This video will have you checking over your shoulder the next time you gear up to press record. The video shows a woman dancing outside a brick building with a darkened hallway behind her. As she dances like nobody's watching, unbeknownst to her, someone is. Look over her shoulder as she does her moves. This woman is not alone. Someone with long dark hair and a pale face that's unusually blurred peers from behind her for a split second before vanishing back into the shadows. A nightmare specter spectator if I ever saw one. What would you do if you saw this in one of your TikTok posts? Probably would be the end of your TikToking career. At 3:15 p.m. on February the 9th, 2004, a woman named Maura Murray withdrew $280 from an ATM. She looked serious, even frowning perhaps, or maybe I'm looking too deeply into it. Either way, this is the last recorded appearance before she disappeared in a way that's never been explained. 4 hours after this video was taken, multiple witnesses saw Maura Murray on the side of the road with a broken down car. A school bus driver pulled over to help out, but she told him that she had already called AAA, even though phone records later revealed that she hadn't, and so he left her alone, but not before reporting the bizarre experience to the police himself. When the cops arrived 20 minutes later, they found some of her personal belongings were in the car, but missing were her credit cards and cell phone. Maura Murray herself was nowhere to be found. For some strange reason, she simply wandered away from her vehicle after it broke down. None of her credit cards were ever used, and her cell phone was not used either, which probably means she didn't make it very far, and yet her body was never found. Police think she might have been planning to take her own life, but if she was planning to do this, then she would obviously have no use for money, so why would she need to take out almost $300 beforehand? Maura appears to be alone in the ATM video, so it's likely nobody is making her do any of this. The police have never been able to figure out her motives or if she's still alive. Maura called out of work that day and wrote she was having relationship problems with her boyfriend, but whether this was of her own free will or if someone was making her do this to cover their tracks remains to be determined, and quite possibly never will be properly explained. Nothing else happened for almost 12 years until a rather sinister video was uploaded on YouTube. This video, titled "Where I Put Maura," shows an empty barn in the middle of the woods. A man is laughing over a picture of Maura Murray, but we never do get to see what they look like. Nobody has been able to identify where this barn is or who uploaded this video. It could be a false lead or her actual final resting place. We'll never know for sure, and police, for whatever reason, apparently have stopped trying to find out. These scary stories sound made up until you see the video evidence that goes with it. That's when these scary moments become all too real. A YouTuber in Central Texas named Dylan Dickerson stopped feeling safe from home years ago when he first heard these strange sounds in the sky in December of 2018.
I hope you can hear that.
What's especially scary about this video is that at times, it sounds like a scary voice.
Now we're hearing them again.
At other times, it sounds like something else completely.
It just seems like they're always barking.
Almost like a battle of some sort just beyond our galaxy.
I still don't know what that is.
As this video taken 2.5 years later shows, the unexplained sounds in the sky have not gone away. If anything, they've become louder and more persistent, like it's evolving. I think these are real sky sounds caught on tape because the bird sounds up close and the sky noises are far away. Plus, 2 years is a long time to keep faking the same kind of video without much notice. So I believe in these scary sounds over Dylan's house. Do you? A YouTuber named Taijai & Co is sifting through a deep web box when she comes across what appears to be some sort of surgical instrument with strange markings, though I don't know what they could mean, if anything at all.
B4 or something? Yeah, it says B4 on it. Then there's also marker right here.
I also don't know what they were used for, only that they leave a greenish stain on Taijai's gloves, which I hope is nothing toxic. She changes gloves and moves on to the next object, an ice pick covered in red at the tip. I'm hoping that it's just rust and not what I think it is. Let me know what you think. My only question, besides what this could be, is who put it in the box and why. This New Orleans restaurant called Tableau's is thought to be haunted by a ghost who will punish you for what it perceives as any bad beverage selections. Here a waiter is preparing the room for a private party and has finished stocking the refreshments when coincidentally, the bottles all fly off the shelf and land in the exact area he had just finished sweeping. 3 separate comments in this video further verify that this restaurant is quite haunted. One person said the window in this very same room unlatched itself, another said the fire alarm went off on its own, and a third person said they are never going there again because the spirit was staring at them. These comments, combined with this video evidence, is enough to build a strong case for the paranormal in my opinion, but let me know what you think. When you're searching for ghosts, you may just find them. Published in August of 2019 by YouTuber Alex Paranormal, he writes, "Me and a friend went back to a known haunted location. This haunted location, as Alex adds in the comments section, is an abandoned restaurant and vineyard in the countryside of Hampshire, England. Using ghost tracking tools, they do appear to sense some paranormal presence in the room. For one, the temperature drops. For another, the spirit box seems to be capturing some communication, as those in the comments note. But it's at 16 minutes 50 seconds where your nightmare begins."
You hear that? What's up?
You can see a shadow figure move past in the archway right before the group heads into the kitchen. To whom does this shadow belong? Is it an evil entity of some kind? Don't know about you, but I wouldn't stick around long enough to find out. In wandering around this abandoned building, strange apparitions appear everywhere. Published by Clip Hantu, this scary video is like the Where's Waldo of creepy figures. See if you can spot them all. Notice this thing on the ledge wasn't there a moment before. It looks like a head of hair or a wig. In the next room, you see a dark figure in the corner. As the camera swings back, it's disappeared. And with the flashlight turned on, you can see the room is completely empty. In a kitchen area, there's a pot on the counter at first. Now there seems to be a split in the clip, but the next time we see the same counter, the creepy object has replaced it. That thing looks like a shrunken head. Have these items been placed? Or is this the world's worst treasure hunt? The first and third items do look to me like they were placed. There is a cut in the video in each of these instances, but that shadow figure, that's harder to explain. Makes me think this place is truly haunted after all. 2 things that you should never mess with: a Ouija board and the spirit world. Posted by Big Rig Jiggin to the Chills Narrator subreddit. Big Rig claims that when he leaves this Ouija board out on the table, something strange happens. According to Big Rig, this video has been time edited due to it taking over 70 hours to get this footage. I tried to sit and watch for the movements so I could record. The only times it was happening is when I left the room and came back hours later. Big Rig leaves a Ouija board on the table with the planchette sitting at the top pointing downward. He passes his hand over the table and around the planchette, assumedly to show there are no strings attached. Then he leaves the room. The planchette sits still for a long while, but after a time, it starts moving around the board. It appears to slide all across the board, moving around of its own accord. The movement is also shown at a different angle. As you can see, the desk is thick, so magnets aren't likely at play here. Nitro Fox Zero states in the comments that leaving the planchette on the board is a big no-no, and the fact that it's trying to leave the board means the spirit is trying to escape. Never really thought of that. Now this unexplainable Ouija board activity seems even creepier. This building is teeming with poltergeists, and YouTuber Han Kardashler is about to face off with them. They throw the first punch as soon as he enters, and they don't let up. They continue as he moves around the building.
Şaka mı bu ya? Gassal. Uf. Oğlum nereden geliyor sesin? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
But he doesn't leave until they become more aggressive. What do you think? Would you stick around in here? I think there aren't many worse places to be. This couple is dedicated to, as their description states, the search of paranormal activity in places with terrifying histories, as is sometimes possible when investigating. Ghosts have followed investigators to their homes, and they believe someone they made contact with on a previous investigation did just that. On January 21st, 2021, they hosted a live stream to document what they believed was a haunting in their home. Hoping to document evidence and find answers, they invited the public to join on their session. The first half of the investigation seems to produce little results, but something rather disturbing appears as they venture down the stairs. Through a glazed window overlooks the stairs, the figure of a woman can be seen staring towards the camera. At first glance, it can be easily mistaken for a painting, but when inspecting it closer, you can see there is actual 3D depth to it, something a painting would be impossible to have. The figure looks either like a woman with long dark hair or someone wearing a robe. To further prove it is not a painting, the same window is shown a few minutes later and the figure is gone. Furthermore, they venture outside to show the other side, and it is several feet above the ground, making it impossible for anyone to get up there without a ladder. Nothing around the window resembles the figure, as it has simply vanished. As they descend further down the stairs, an orb can be seen flying fast across the top left corner of the screen. Once they reach the bottom step, a loud, low exhale can be heard.
La esfera.
The sound is too low pitched to be either of the couple, as we could hear them breathe beforehand and it doesn't match. It is also possible it was the sound of something sliding, although we cannot see what or if anything moves. Unfortunately, the remainder of the video becomes uneventful and other apparent orbs can be easily explained. For example, while they are filming a mirror, a glowing orb-like spectacle can be seen flying around. However, when the camera's light is turned off, it disappears, meaning it was simply a glare from the light itself. It's terrifying to imagine something becoming attached to you and following you back to your home. It's one of the risks when going on investigations, meaning it is not for the faint of heart. It also shows how there are more than just the physical dangers on these adventures, with even professional investigators such as Ghost Adventures suffering from severe states of paranormal oppression and even possession. It goes as a warning for those who decide to take up the cause for themselves. Take heed and be aware of what you are getting into, even if you are a skeptic or non-believer. Respect the locations you are visiting. Some videos are so terrifying that you may catch yourself holding your breath. A YouTuber named Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz lives alone and often hears wearing sobs in his basement. He says that he is way too strapped for cash to afford a Bluetooth speaker and that this is real. Take a listen for yourself. At 57 seconds into the video, the spirit seems to respond to his voice.
Hello? Hello?
He pokes around the corner, and sitting in the far corner of the room is a tiny entity made of light that kind of resembles a small child. I took a screenshot to better illustrate what I'm saying. The shape looks roughly symmetrical, and the head is looking directly at the camera. A YouTuber named Daniel Ott performs a summoning ritual that quickly comes to a close after he begins to feel weird. In doing so, he accidentally records a strange moving light while describing how bad he feels.
I don't know, my body, it just doesn't feel right now. I've just been hearing things.
It might be trails of light left by the paranormal, or it could just be light reflecting off the chandeliers as he crosses the dining room. But still, as soon as he walks into the next room, this fleeting shadow appears on the wall. It could belong to him, but the angles don't quite match up.
Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. I'm not sure if I'm probably gonna make another one of these.
One of these experiences could be easily explained away, but having both of them happen back to back is almost too much of a coincidence for me to believe, especially after a summoning ritual. If you've been watching Scary Countdowns for a while, then you've probably come across this video at some point. What other channels don't bother to tell you is that there's an additional 2 months worth of evidence to analyze. But first, let me start with this viral video of their fateful first encounter. On May 3rd, 2011, a strange man who they've never seen before randomly stands outside of the apartment of a YouTuber named Andrew J. Neese. Andrew and his girlfriend do what most people would do and dial for help. Here's the original phone call with the authorities. Tell me if you think it's real.
And he's just like looking up at the window. He's been there for about 30 minutes now. Yeah, male, maybe about 30, I guess. I can't tell.
There's never an actual voice on the other end, which makes me suspect it could be staged, and I thought 911 operators were trained to stay on the line until police come. That's not what happens here.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's where most channels leave off, but this is actually just the beginning. What most people don't know is that there's another 911 phone call made by his girlfriend the very next night on May 4th to anyone who has ever worked in emergency response. Tell me if this second phone call sounds legit or if they're just pretending to talk to someone.
I'd really like you to do something about it. Yeah, my boyfriend already made a report. We're at there's a parking lot behind our house. Yeah, 6:50. Okay, thanks.
Another night passes, and the figure returns, silent and wide-eyed as ever. Andrew gets upset enough to say something this time, and look what happens to the camera when he does.
Hey. Hey.
I don't know what's going on.
A red flash occurs at 58 seconds, a brief electronic disturbance possibly induced by an intensive wave of emotions, perhaps a telekinetic reaction to getting yelled at. I only say this because the exact same curious red flash happened 6 days later on May 12th, except this time, their stalker is not even there. They simply sense him and then the flash appears.
He's not even there!
Alright.
And by June 17th, it's gotten to the point where Andrew's motion sensor camera keeps zooming in on a figure that simply isn't there. The equipment is having trouble focusing. In other words, on the very same spot where their not-so-secret admirer had stood for over a month straight. So is Andrew manually making it go out of focus, or is there an invisible phantom figure really standing there like he says? But I'm getting way ahead of myself by mentioning the events of June. That's a particularly bad month for them, and we still aren't done talking about May 8th to be exact, when they first started to suspect the perpetrator could be supernatural.
Hey, look, he's throwing the window.
His arms are at his sides, and yet something pings off the window.
Fuck, I don't even see him throwing anything.
Oh my god, but how is he doing that?
And sure enough, there's another odd flash at 1 minute and 6 seconds, like something's feeding off the peak of their fear, growing stronger. No longer is the watcher satisfied with leering at them from the corner. He now wants inside. A full month of harassment accumulates in scraps of paper, all saying the same word, hello. Apparently, this is some form of psychotic social interaction for whoever's doing this. A creepy game they are just beginning to play. Time only makes the man grow bolder. By June 20th, the tapping is all over their windows. It's the sound of someone's finger against glass, and yet there's no silhouette to be seen. Either they are behind the couch tapping, or they're somehow making this noise from the alley outside. Left on the window is a picture of this creepy smiling face with X'd out eyes. Only someone who's really into the idea of tormenting two totally innocent people would bother drawing this. let alone deliver it in person. Little does Andrew or his girlfriend know they are less than 1 day from seeing him up close for themselves. On June 22nd, there's more tapping, which is not even that unusual by this point. And so Andrew's girlfriend goes to the window thinking that no one is there. She throws open the blinds, still recording for evidence, and waiting for her is the Watcher himself, closer than he has ever been before. It's hard to see, but at 47 seconds he's holding an illustration of the same grisly face as before, X'd out eyes, this time with a message that says hello in the same handwriting as the scrap notes left by their door. I doubt he just wants to only say hello for much longer. Soon he will probably be saying goodbye to them, probably moments before he ends their lives. So if he's standing outside of the house in May and outside of their window by June, then he will probably be standing somewhere inside their house by July. Thankfully, they managed to move out before my theory gets put to the test. Now in a different location with iron bars, they finally feel safe for the first time in months, but their hopes of a peaceful life are shattered by the 1st of July when a familiar figure slides in. Something's off about this extra blurry entrance. He doesn't walk into frame so much as simply materializes. And come to think of it, I've never actually seen him move before. Then when it's time to leave, he vanishes, leaving only a faint trace as he walks. It could be the camera, or it could be editing, or it could be an actual ghost, in which case this may have been the last video, but I doubt it was their final encounter. This dirt road has its own security guard. Published by Scary and Mysterious Stuff in February of 2021, a team faces off with a mysterious figure on a deserted road. As they drive in the middle of the night, wolves are howling all around. The atmosphere is unsettling. As they turn a corner and head down a hill, a figure in a black robe is captured up ahead in the headlights. Wearing a hood that blocks their face, the figure starts to slowly walk toward the vehicle, which backs up in response. The figure continues to approach the vehicle even after it's reversed far enough to not be a threat. While many in the comments are saying the figure was likely not a ghost, since it casts a shadow, others are calling the footage scary and dangerous regardless. If not a ghost, who is this person and what do they want? This ghost is hungry. Published by Pilot Error Podcast in December of 2020. This woman was finally able to capture on camera what had apparently been happening for a while. After hearing a noise in the kitchen, she grabs her camera and waits. That's when she sees this. The cupboard is opening just a little bit at first, then it opens a little wider, and then, instead of running away from the spirit, this woman runs toward it.
Open.
And once in the kitchen, things get worse. Is this poltergeist just inviting everyone to dinner? And will you attend? Should be an interesting enough meal. A YouTuber named Lou Rock is live streaming from a supposedly haunted location, known only as the Yellow House. He and his friend are cautiously poking around the abandoned building when a faint noise sends them running directly into a large room to investigate. The room is bare except for an inordinate number of gnarled clothes hangers in the closet, which begin twisting in unison, almost as if in acknowledgement of their presence.
There's not a window open in here.
Are they moving? It looks like they're moving.
Wow.
This is on live stream, so you can see for yourself at no point did they touch the hangers. I think the hangers really are being moved by an unseen force based on what I'm about to show you next. As you can see from this video, there is no wind moving the blinds or curtains at all, so it couldn't have been a draft moving the hangers. They continue to find more weird miscellaneous objects scattered around the house, including a rope tied to a ripped kid's shoe.
It looks like somebody was hung up by their feet.
Giant holes have been punched into the wall of this room, either from destructive teens or from the previous house owner during an aggressive fit of rage. Just as they are sensing something deeply wrong with the kitchen, something brings them back into the room with blown out walls.
That feeling in here.
Yeah, me too.
What's that?
They are genuinely creeped out by now and don't make it much further before the sound returns again.
Weird. Alright, we're out of here.
At this point, Lou Rock wisely decides to leave before he becomes the Yellow House's next permanent resident. Franco TV is one of the few ghost hunters I've come across who isn't afraid to investigate solo. In fact, he prefers it. Charging into the middle of the action and staying put is his style. Rarely does he run. On September 7th, 2018, Franco TV goes to an abandoned house that's way out in the Florida forest. I can't tell you the exact location, but I can tell you the name, the Edison house. What's inside leaves him a sweat-soaked mess. The address is so secret that he had to track down some of the previous owners to find it, and since no one can stand living here for more than a few months, there were plenty of previous owners to choose from. It was accidentally built over a gravesite according to them, and that's all they will say because it's so cursed that just talking about it could possibly bring about years of misfortune. None of this concerns Franco enough to keep him from going inside. Through the condemned door is a trashed interior that fills the investigator with the type of dread that burns stronger with every step. Everything about it feels off and wrong in a way he can't explain. Past a crumbling kitchen is a small kid's room that feels colder than the rest of the house. And as he's reading but not adhering to the simple instructions on the wall,
Get out.
he hears the giggle of a child. The laughter comes from behind him, practically in his ear, and he turns against a wall with a mysterious red stain that looks like it's squirted out of someone's neck. Across from him, this witch-like face appears against the window. It's most visible at approximately 3 minutes and 12 seconds, eyes and all. Undeterred, he goes to where it was standing and looks inside the room he was just in. As he's doing this, the same face now regards him through a crack in the doorway at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. It doesn't look like it's part of the door, but I guess it could be. The upstairs is cramped and uncomfortably hot. Down the hall is a red handprint that could belong to a child, except it's too high up on the wall. Perhaps they were struggling with someone trying not to be carried into this room. As Franco stares into the room, dozens of comments point out this figure staring back out at him from within the closet, just like the far wall says. I couldn't really see anything at first, but when I did, I suddenly wished I didn't try so hard. Something's there. Franco doesn't spend much time in this room because he gets an especially bad feeling, but one thing I noticed was this jet black spirit orb float up towards him and disappear. That's not a bug. The anxiety he gets from the second floor is a little too much, even for him, and look what happens when he goes back downstairs.
I'm hearing all sorts of noises everywhere and I don't have no cover at all, and I'm in the middle of the forest. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why it's going to be a little bit weird for me, because I can't deal with that.
This just so happens to be one of the only times he films behind him, so maybe this part is set up. Anyway, this was back when a supernatural challenge called Charlie Charlie was popular, and so he decides to play around before calling it quits. He sets up 2 pencils and waits for the ghost to respond.
Is there anyone in this house right now? Is there anyone that's
I don't know about you, but I see no string.
Do you wish me to leave this area?
A closer look under the light at 9 minutes and 17 seconds shows that nothing is tied around the pencil at all. He follows its advice and goes outside. By now, Franco is soaked in sweat and still hearing movements that I don't think he's making up because they sound too far away, deeper in the forest.
And from there, from there, I'm gonna head home. After that, I'm done. I gotta get out of here.
Part of him wants to leave, but he knows he has to explore the surrounding property because it's where more spirits roam around their unmarked graves. While staring out into the wilderness, he hears them.
What the is that?
It's not traffic because there's no roads out here, and exactly 2 seconds later it's accompanied by a voice warning him never to return.
Holy crap.
Advice that Franco TV decides to take as he walks away from the Edison house with the blank, horrified stare of a man who has been shown far too much. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.